What's up, guys? Alex Jason back here with a better video. Hopefully, a great day for tonight. Everything's on this world. And for today's video, I'm going to be grading all 30 NBA teams off season. We have S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and F tier. I got this video idea from my favorite YouTuber, best NBA YouTuber, king of the fourth quarter. That man right there. Shout out Kenny. I'll put the link in the description of the video he made. And yeah, hope you guys do enjoy this video. Let's get it started. We're gonna start off here with the Washington Wizards. Now, they signed IT, which is a little bit of a question mark based off the fact that we don't really know how he's gonna play, if he'll ever be the same player. Yes, they do not have John Wall next season, so he's probably gonna be their starting point guard. And I'm okay with that, but they also drafted guys like Rui Hachimura, which I really like, and I think that's a solid young player to have on your team, honestly. And I'm gonna give him, because of Rui, I'll give him a C tier off season. I'll make corrections at the end of the video and do a recap of all the 30 teams. But they drafted Rui, who I think is a young talent with a promising career. They also signed guys like IT, and I think that's pretty respectable. I mean, they're not a playoff team at all, but actually, I take that back. They had a D tier off season. D tier. Okay. And then the Detroit Pistons. They drafted guys like Jordan Bone, and the most notable one, Sekou Doumbouya, who I think is one of the most underrated players in this draft. People do not think, I mean, he was projected to be lottery, but like no one really thought he was going to go a lottery pick. And he went a lottery pick to the Detroit Pistons, and they also signed D Rose, baby. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Reggie Jackson, but that's besides the point. They signed Derrick Rose, who averaged 18 points a game last season. I think he's going to keep rising and rising until he officially gets out of his prime. And they still have guys like Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin, so I cannot wait to see what this team does. And for their overall off-season grade, I have to give them a C tier off-season. Now the Indiana Pacers, they signed guys like TJ Warren, they traded for TJ Warren. They signed Malcolm Brogdon. That's not bad, you know. That's the most notable things they did in the offseason. And honestly, for this team that I projected in yesterday's video to be an 8 seed, I think they can do that with that squad. And they still have Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis. This is a pretty respectable team. A lot of young guys and guys that are in their prime right now. But for their offseason, I'll give them a C tier offseason. Now the Los Angeles Lakers, people are going to come at my head for this. But the AD signing's great and all. DeMarcus Cousins is great and all, which is going to boost up their grade, trust me. But just their bench, Avery Bradley saw, but like he's kind of fell off a cliff since he left Boston. Hopefully he can resurrect his career in LA, but we'll see. And then they got Troy Daniels. I mean, like maybe Iggy, we'll see what happens with him, but he's a question mark. He's not even on the team yet. They got Rondo, KCP. I'm just not super confident with this squad, but since they did get AD and DeMarcus Cousins, I'll give them a B tier offseason. Now the Boston Celtics, my team. People are not going to agree with me on this, but let me just give you guys what my mindset is here. They drafted fantastically. Grant Williams, Carson Edwards looks like an absolute stud. Romeo Langford, we haven't seen what he can do because he had a thumb surgery, did not play in Summer League, but he was our 14th overall pick. He better be pretty damn good. Tremont Waters, two-way contract, we'll see with him. Go over to the signing. We signed Kemba Walker, all-star, one of the best point guards in the NBA after losing an all-star, one of the best point guards in the NBA with Kyrie Irving. Yes, we do lose Al Horford, but I think the replacement of Enes Kanter, no, he cannot spread the floor nearly as well as Al Horford. But he's not a bad center to have on your squad when you lose a really good center like Al Horford. So with that all being said, I give him a B tier for agency. I cannot put him above the Lakers. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers. They sign Al Horford, who I think is a perfect fit for that team. They keep Tobias Harris. They draft Matisse Thybulle. I think this team has super young talent. Like, they still have Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Matisse Thybulle, who they just drafted. Tobias Harris is relatively young. And then they have guys who are going to help them who want to win now, who just need a championship. They're getting older, like Al Horford. So I really love this squad. I love what they did in this year's offseason. You guys are definitely going to hate me for this, but it's all, in my mind, it's all about fit and how the whole team from 1 to 13. Yes, obviously the Lakers have LeBron, AD, and DeMarcus Cousins, and they might do better than Philly. But what I'm about to do, you guys are going to hate me. I'm talking about from 1 to 13, the whole offseason. I got to give it 8 and 8 tier offseason to the 76ers. Hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm not saying the Lakers are bad, but just please understand where I'm coming from. If you don't, it's completely fine, but that's just where my mindset is at the moment. Now, the Warriors, they lose KD, they lose DeMarcus Cousins. I thought they were done. Ring, 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 Woj bomb. They sign D'Angelo Russell and Willie Cauley-Stein. D'Lo, don't know why you did that. They're gonna put him at the 2, and when Clay comes back, that's disgusting. Yeah, like this, they killed it in the free agency for the Warriors. Steph Curry, D'Lo, and Willie Cauley-Stein, and then whoever else is gonna fill out that roster, I don't know. Based off D'Lo. And they also got Jordan Poole, who they drafted, who I don't really know a ton about, but he's going to probably play some meaningful minutes for the Warriors. I'll give him a B tier for offseason. I know I'm gonna mess up and say, give him a grade and say free agency. Offseason. I give him a B tier offseason. Now the Milwaukee Bucks. I said this in the last video, losing Malcolm Brogdon I think was a big hit for them. Yes, they do sign Wesley Matthews. They keep Brook Lopez. They signed Robin Lopez. They didn't do bad for themselves. They're still going to be a fantastic team next year. I just think they also kept Chris Middleton as well. And they kept a lot of key guys. I just wish they kept Malcolm Brogdon. And if they kept Malcolm Brogdon, I'd give him an S tier, but they didn't, this is still a fantastic grade. I know I was kind of talking them down, but I give them an A tier offseason. They kept Chris Middleton, which they needed. Brook Lopez, they signed Robin. They got Wesley Matthews, who's not bad, but not a Malcolm Brogdon. Now the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm just going to say it straight up. You drafted a point guard, a really good one, who played pretty well last year. You drafted another point guard this year, Darius Garland. Good point guard in college. Looks like he's going to be good in the NBA. Neither of them can play shooting guard. I've said this in multiple videos. What are you doing? You know what else they did in the offseason? Pretty much nothing. So with that being said, I'll give them a D tier offseason. I can't give them F because they did draft a really good point guard, but debatable between D and F. Now the Toronto Raptors, they lose Kawhi and Danny Green, and then they didn't really do anything. Hi Dad, my dad texted me. But other than that, they didn't really do anything. Honestly, they still have Pascal, Kyle, so this is not about their team. They still have a really solid team. But I guess their offseason, they did, Marc Gasol did opt into his thing, yada, yada, yada. I give him a F tier offseason. They didn't really try to do much to make a substitution for what Kawhi did, maybe try to go out and get a Jimmy Butler. But, they're still a solid team in the East. Dallas Mavericks. They signed Kristaps because he was a free agent. He was a free agent even though he was on the team last year. He didn't play, but they signed Kristaps. Not much else to say there. I think he's going to be a huge piece to that team. I'll give him a C tier offseason. The signing of Kristaps is pretty much all they did, but that's a big, big signing for a team that's trying to start molding their way into being a competitive team. They got Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., solid team. Memphis Grizzlies. They drafted John Morant. B tier offseason. Not much else to say there. He's going to be looks like a superstar point guard in this league. Timberwolves. That's a tough one. They lose Taj. I'm not really going to miss him. They didn't really make too much noise in this year's offseason. I'm really not 100% sure, if they picked up. I would have known if they picked up even a Marcus Morris or Markieff Morris, and I know they didn't. So didn't really do too much. I know they do have Jarrett Culver though. I know they do have him. They did draft him. They did draft a few young guys, but other than that, they didn't really do anything in free agency. So I'll give them a C tier offseason. They did draft Jarrett Culver and some other young guys who are going to help them with Karl-Anthony Towns grow as a team. Andrew Wiggins, I didn't put his name in there because the most overpaid player in the NBA. Actually, him and Chandler Parsons are pretty bad. Then we have the Spurs. Another team that didn't really do much. Not a bad team, but this is about what they did in the offseason. Yeah, they did have a few picks, and they got a few young guys. But overall, as an offseason, they didn't really make too much noise. They almost had Marcus Morris, but he's like, nah, I want to sign with the Knicks. So with that being said, I gotta give them an F tier offseason. Not like it's bad for them, but they could have done a little better. Then the Utah Jazz. In my personal opinion, do I want to put them an S? I'm gonna put them an S. This is why. They traded for Mike Conley. They signed Bogdanovich. Those two guys right there. In my personal opinion, I'm gonna say it again. In my personal opinion, they already had Joe Ingles. They already had Donovan Mitchell, who's gonna be a superstar in the NBA. They already had Rudy Gobert, who's a star in the NBA. They signed Emmanuel Mudiay, who's going to be a fantastic backup point guard. I think this team is a championship contender with a bunch of other teams in the NBA. That's why I love the NBA now. I mean, I loved it, but this is why I love it even more, because the Warriors or like the Cavs weren't going to win it, or like the Raptors are not going to win it next year. You know what I mean? So I think the Jazz are possibly championship contenders, and with the people I just mentioned, that's an S tier offseason. That's a fantastic, fantastic offseason for the Utah Jazz. Now the LA Clippers. That's a big no-brainer. They signed one of the best players in the NBA, Kawhi Leonard. They traded for one of the best players in the NBA, Paul George. Now you're going to say, what about LeBron, AD, and DeMarcus Cousins? Well, you guys have a point, because I'm not trying to be hypocritical or blah, blah, blah. So with that being said, I'm going to have to put the Lakers at A tier. Just rethought that. But I still don't think they had a better offseason than the Clippers, because the Clippers also kept Patrick Beverley, which is a humongous piece to their team, and the Lakers didn't really do as much with the depth as they could. They didn't have a lot of money, and I think just the signing of Kawhi and Paul George is just a better fit than LeBron and AD. That's just my personal opinion. Now the Phoenix Suns, they signed Ricky Rubio. They got rid of Josh Jackson. They got rid of TJ Warren. 2 negatives and a half a positive. Ricky Rubio's not a point guard. They also drafted Jalen LeCue, or they got undrafted. They signed Jalen LeCue, who looks like he came out of Brewster High School. Looks like a solid guy. Could be a good guy for a team, for the Suns in the future. But with that being said, Ricky Rubio, the only person they drafted, and they got rid of 2 pretty good young NBA players. D tier offseason. Ricky Rubio and Jalen LeCue are solid. Ricky Rubio's good, but that's not your point guard of the future. Come on. And then we have the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers didn't really do much. At all. So with that being said, do I want to disrespect them? They did lose Enes Kanter, who was good for them. So I'll give them an F tier offseason. Now, like I said before, this is not how the team's going to be next year. This is all about their offseason. Offseason strictly. Don't care about that notification. Now the Sacramento Kings. They re-signed Harrison Barnes. Fantastic for their team. They signed Trevor Ariza. He's getting old, but whatever. I think they're just the signing of Harrison Barnes. They did lose Willie Cauley-Stein, which might bump them down a little bit. I'll give them a C tier offseason, because Harrison Barnes is a key piece. He's their starting small forward, and they needed him back on the team. And if they didn't get him, I'd put him at around a D, F. But they kept their debatably their best player on the team with Harrison Barnes. So I'll give them a C tier offseason. Now the Atlanta Hawks, they signed Cam Reddish. They made tons of trades on draft night. They got rid of Jackson Hayes. They traded him to the Pelicans for more picks. I'm not really sure what the whole deal is there. They also signed Jabari Parker, who's going to be their starting power forward, and they have John Collins at the center. I absolutely love this team for the future, and they're going to be fun to watch now as they develop. So for their offseason grade, I give them a B tier offseason. Now the New York Knicks, their potential was sky high. Kevin Durant and Kyrie, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, blah, 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 blah. A million names. Anthony Davis going to the Knicks. They got none of that. But they didn't do terrible. They drafted RJ. They signed Bobby Portis. They signed Marcus Morris. They didn't have a terrible offseason. It was a fail compared to what they wanted to happen, but if you really think about it, they didn't have a terrible offseason, so I'll give them a B tier offseason. Now the Pelicans, S tier offseason. They transformed their team. They drafted Zion, who we all know has so much potential. They drafted good guys in the locker room and then guys who are good now, like Derek Favors and one of the best shooters of all time with JJ Redick. Has never missed the playoffs, by the way, and hopefully they don't miss it this year. I didn't put him in my video, but that'd be kind of fun to watch. And they also have Jackson Hayes. They traded for Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart. This team absolutely won the offseason by far. S tier offseason. Hornets, they gave $50 million to Rozier, and they lose Kemba Walker and Jeremy Lamb. Not much to say there. Houston Rockets, they traded for Russell. I was having a complete blank. They traded for Russell Westbrook. That's about all they did. Or as some say, Russell Westbrick. I love you, Russ. I can never call you Westbrick. But yeah, they got Russell Westbrook. That's an A tier offseason. The only reason why I don't give them S tiers because they could have, I guess they did keep Austin Rivers and blah, 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 but they could have made a few other moves to help their bench depth. PJ Tucker's old. They could have done a little bit better there. But, A tier. Still a fantastic off season. Miami Heat. Yeah, they did get Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero. Based off those two guys, that's a B tier offseason. Now, like I said, this is not how I think the team's going to be. I think they're going to struggle. But they got Tyler Hero, great young guy for the team. And they also signed Jimmy Butler, star player in the NBA. Can't really complain. And then we have the Denver Nuggets. They traded for Jeremy Grant. They also, MPJ's back. That has nothing to do with the offseason. That just came in my head. And they drafted the Miami Heat drafted Bol, but they got Bol on the team, who, if he goes to the potential I think he has, bro, they could absolutely destroy the NBA. A 7'4" plus point guard, basically. That's like Kevin Durant, who's a god, times another god. That's like a Greek god, Bol, if he goes to his potential. So with that all being said, I give him a B tier offseason. Because they made the right moves for their team. They already have a bunch of great players, but they just made the right moves to what their team needs are at the moment. Now the Chicago Bulls. They drafted Kobe White. They needed a point guard, but by Chris Dunn. What else did they do? That's about all they did, honestly. They got Thaddeus Young, who, solid power forward, gets the job done. But Kobe White puts them as a C tier offseason. They made the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie, KD. I know KD won't play, but I don't care about that. That's an S tier offseason. Got Kyrie and KD on the same team. Yeah, good luck. And then we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. You guys might be surprised to this because they did lose Russell Westbrook, but they got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back. They got Chris Paul, who looks like he's going to be playing for a little bit on the Oklahoma City Thunder next year. They got Gallinari. And the OKC as a team, they got a bunch of draft picks for years to come from the Rockets, from the Rockets, and other little trades they made, like when they traded Jeremiah Grant to the Denver Nuggets. So for everything that happened to them this offseason, and they also got a lot of picks from the Clippers when they traded Paul George. For everything that happened to them this offseason, they came out really, really well, and I give them a C tier offseason. Now the last team, the Orlando Magic. They re-signed Terrence Ross. I think they drafted Chuma Okeke. Yeah, I remember because I was dying of laughter. They drafted Chuma Okeke. Not bad. They also re-signed Nikola Vucevic, which was obviously their biggest signing. But I wish they made some other moves to help them win. Vucevic is great and all-star center. They got Terrence Ross, is great and all. Chuma Okeke, young guy. I'll give him a C tier offseason. Now I'm going to do some revisions, and I'll be back with my final S tier, A tier, B. You know the deal. But my final all 30 NBA teams offseason tier list. S tier, we got the Jazz, Clippers, Pelicans, and Brooklyn. And then the A tier, we got the 76ers, Bucks, Lakers, and Rockets. Now the B tier, this is where I started changing a few things. Celtics are the same, Warriors are the same, Memphis is the same, Hawks are the same, Knicks are the same, Heat are the same, but I completely spaced out about the Portland Trailblazers. Sorry, Trailblazers fans, I must have given you a heart attack in the earlier in the video saying this guy's an absolute idiot. No, I completely spaced out. They traded for Hassan Whiteside. They also kept Rodney Hood, and they drafted they got Nazir Little, who looks like he can be a solid, backup for that team. So I give them a B tier offseason. Sorry about that. And then C tier, we got the Pistons. Indiana Pacers, Mavericks, Wolves, and I moved the Denver Nuggets down because they got Jeremiah Grant, Bull. That's not enough to put them in the B tier. And then the Bulls, Thunder, and Magic are the same. And then D tier, we got Wizards, Cavs, Suns. Then I did move the Kings down. They did lose Willie Cauley-Stein. They did sign Trevor Ariza and Harrison Barnes is good and all, but they could have done better. They had money. They had money to spend. They could have done better. And then F tier, we still got the Raptors, Spurs, and Hornets. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. And tell me what you disagree with and tell me what you do agree with down in the comments below. I'm very interested in what your opinions are. And I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like always, peace.